When I started building the Untold Engine, I thought the hardest problems would be rendering problems. Things like improving performance, reducing memory usage, building streaming systems, or optimizing for XR. And honestly, that's what I focused on for years. I spent countless hours building rendering systems, debugging GPU issues, implementing post-processing effects, and improving streaming performance. All the things that graphics programmers love obsessing over. But eventually I ran into a realization that completely changed how I think about engine development. Because at some point, the engine stops being just a rendering project. It becomes a product for other people. And the second that happens, your priorities start changing. Suddenly documentation matters. Error messages matter. User experience matters. And I realized something uncomfortable. I was still thinking like a graphics programmer when I actually needed to start thinking like a tool developer. Once I started sharing the engine with more people, I began noticing a pattern. A lot of the problems users were running into weren't rendering problems. They were friction problems. Originally, trying the engine for the first time was honestly more complicated than it should have been. A user would clone the repository, build the engine, prepare a model, write code to load the model, set up a scene, and only then would they finally see something render on the screen. From my perspective, that workflow made perfect sense. But for a new user, that's a terrible first impression. Most people don't want to spend an hour setting things up just to figure out whether they are even interested in the engine. And that realization started changing how I approach development. After implementing the streaming system, I redesigned the demo experience completely. Instead of forcing users to prepare everything manually, I wanted them to just click on a button, stream a scene, and immediately see the engine in action. And I started noticing this pattern everywhere. Another example was the asset pipeline. The engine uses its own Untold asset format for performance and streaming reasons. But the original workflow was honestly intimidating for new users. You had to export your model to USD format, then run a command line for conversion, wait for the conversion, and manually move files around before testing anything. Again, from a rendering engineer perspective, that workflow felt acceptable. But for new users, it created unnecessary complexity before they even got started. So instead of expecting users to adapt to the engine, I started asking myself a different question. How can the engine adapt to the user? And that led me to build a Blender add-on that automates the export process directly inside your Blender. That's when I realized that building powerful technology isn't enough if people struggle to even use it. And honestly, I still love the rendering side of engine development. I still get excited about rendering pipelines, optimizations, and XR performance. That part of me never went away. But building the Untold Engine taught me something I didn't fully understand when I started. Great technology alone is not enough. Users don't experience your architecture, they experience friction. These days when I build a new feature, I'm not just thinking, is this fast or is this technically correct? I'm also thinking, how does this feel for the user? Because at the end of the day, great engineering is not just about building powerful systems. It's about building systems that people can actually use. And honestly, I think learning that has made me a much better engineer. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to check out my game engine, go to www.untoldengine.com. And again, guys, thank you, and I'll see you next time.